The turquoise was for the Egyptians a precious ore. They used it especially for inlaying gold jewelry and various kinds of objects. It was also used to create amulets and beads. Hathor became the guardian of the mine. She was often referred to as Lady of the Land of Malachite, especially for the goddess in Sarabat el-Qadim. A temple was forged in the rock, initially called Hathor Cave. Mining for this beautiful blue-green stone was not an easy task. Numerous expeditions, including royal governors, writers, miners, desert police, and donkeys, often returned in part. The conditions were very difficult, narrow and dark mines, where there was often nothing to breathe. Primitive camps, cold climate, frequent lack of water, and attacks of aggressive Bedouins caused a decrease in the number of company members. However, the miners were volunteers and took part in expeditions mainly during the growing season of plants, Peret, that is, during winter. They worked for a fixed part of the excavated ores. The desert Sinai Peninsula has been a natural barrier isolating Egypt from its Asian neighbors since ancient times. Deserts were the kingdom of nomadic Bedouin tribes, where the Egyptian Sinuhe found shelter as follows from the famous story of his adventures. The route to Gaza, which was the gateway to Asia, went through Sinai, or to be more precise, the coastal areas of the Mediterranean. However, the Egyptians were more interested in the southern regions of the peninsula, rich in copper, malachite, and, above all, turquoise, which were used on the Nile to make jewelry and inlay. Various valuable objects. These areas were visited and mines were built, despite strong opposition from the Bedouins who invaded the Sinai, exploiting Egyptians. Therefore, from the earliest times, kings sent expeditions to these areas escorted by armed warriors. These companies, along with the king's governors, included men of Semitic and Asian tribes who served to the Egyptians as interpreters and unskilled labor used for the heaviest labor. The expeditions were accompanied by riders and, above all, by the so-called desert police, which included trackers often accompanied by big dogs. The main tasks of none were to ensure the company's safety, but they also served as guides. The inscriptions discovered around the two largest mining centers in Sinai, the Wadi Maghara and the Sarabat al-Qadim, list the composition of many expeditions that set out for these regions during the so-called winter season, that is the growing Egyptian Peret. One of the records says that the company consisted of 734 Egyptians and 600 donkeys, whose task was to transport materials and food. The way to the mine could be crossed in a week of hard march. The turquoises were very difficult to exploit, as they were extracted from the depths of the earth, digging through dark and, above all, narrow corridors without ventilation. Not only were the working conditions very difficult, but there was also often a lack of water, and the primitive mining camps left much to be desired. The mines were located high in the mountains, which in turn made the climate frosty. Unfortunately, due to the hard conditions, it happened that the teams often returned in a smaller group. However, it should be emphasized that the miners going to Sinai were free people who volunteered to work in the mines. In exchange for their work, the workers could leave a certain part of the excavated turquoise for themselves. The earliest traces of the expedition sent to Sinai for this precious ore come from Wadi Amera and date back to 3200 BC. The members of the expedition sculpted drawings on the local rocks, showing the characteristic pre-dynastic boats and inscriptions, which clearly show the names of the rulers of the 0 and 1st dynasties, Iri Hor, Narmer, and Digier. Among the hieroglyphics, Wuxinks also see the name of Queen Nithotep, who, according to the latest concepts, was the regent of the underage Digier, and thus the main wife of King Aha. The name Iri Hor is accompanied by the earliest name Memphis, that is Inebu Hedge White Walls, which indicates that the city, fortress, existed even before the reunification of Upper and Lower Egypt by the pharaoh Narmer. Another mine in operation was the one located in Wadi Maghara. There were discovered inscriptions and reliefs recalling the reign of the rulers of the 3rd dynasty, Sanakht, Nechtjerakit, and Sekhemshet. The last expedition in the times of the Old Kingdom took place during the reign of Pepi II, 6th dynasty. Later on, the center was visited much less frequently. Inscriptions were discovered attesting to the expeditions organized by Amenemhat III, Amenemhat IV, Hatshepsut, Thothmes III, and Ramesses II. The Wadi Maghara had mining shafts and galleries. The workers most likely lived in a small settlement situated at a strategic point that is on a hill dominating the wadi, where stone huts and a small fortress were discovered, which was probably supposed to protect against attacks by the Bedouins. Another important mining center was located in Serabit el-Qadim, where in the times of the Middle Kingdom Amenemhat III, 12th dynasty, ordered to forge a small sanctuary called Hathor Cave, where during the 17th dynasty, especially by Hatshepsut and Thothmes III, the size of the temple with a courtyard and portico has been greatly increased. According to Egyptian beliefs, Hathor was the guardian of the mines and was therefore called Lady of the Land of Malachite. Egyptian Mefkat. In Serabit, El-Qadim, Thoth and deified pharaohs were also worshipped, such as Seneferu, 4th dynasty. The last pharaoh mine record mentions is Ramesses 6th, 20th dynasty. A lot of rock drawings and inscriptions have been discovered on the rocks around the mining centers, reminding us of the victories of the Egyptian rulers over the nomadic Bedouins. Such records and steels were also discovered near Rud el-Qadim or Wadi Nazbi. Numerous reliefs and graffiti discovered on the slopes of the Sinai Mountains show Egyptian kings massacring aggressive nomads with clubs.